Since the beginning of human history, Mars has shaped human imagination. When ancient civilizations around the world looked at Mars, they saw it as a red battlefield. So they named it Mars after the god of war. The ancient people of Babylon called it Nergal. They worshipped it as the god of destruction. The Greeks and Romans called it Ares and Mars, which are considered symbols of power and struggle. There was something about this red planet that gave it such a powerful allure. And maybe that same thing was also creating a strange fear in everyone. But what if our ancient connection to Mars is not just a myth or imagination? But what if we have been connected to Mars from the very beginning in a way we can't even imagine? Fast forward to the 20th century, where Mars is no longer just a shining dot in the night sky, but has become our biggest target in space exploration. A world where scientists and visionaries believe that the secrets of the origin of life on Mars might be hidden. By the 1960s, a space race had begun between America and the Soviet Union, which pushed the boundaries of humanity all the way to the moon. And this battle to dominate space kept getting bigger. With the Apollo moon landing, America won this space race, but Mars was still the ultimate prize. People believed that there would be a space race to win this as well. Both superpowers would face each other once again, but this time over Mars. But there was something else going on behind the scenes. Rumors started spreading about a top secret mission, some closely guarded plans, and a possible manned Mars mission. This mission was so astonishing because it is said that NASA and the Soviet Space Agency worked together on this mission, which was carried out in complete secrecy from the whole world, Project Red Sun. It is said that in the 1970s, NASA and the Soviet Space Agency worked together on this project, whose goal was to send humans to Mars. This was the time when Cold War tensions were at their peak. Still, some people believe that these two countries worked together. And if this is true, then was the intense space race between America and the Soviet Union a conspiracy to distract people from a larger secret mission? However, the surprising thing here is that we don't have any official record confirming the mission of Project Red Sun. There are claims by some people who say they were officially involved in this mission, which suggests that maybe this mission actually took place. Was this the world's biggest secret space program? Have we already been to Mars a long time ago? Many years ago, when we even thought about the modern Mars mission, it didn't really seem possible. In this video, we will talk about Project Red Sun. Stay with us till the end, as we are going to connect the clues, examine the evidence, and try to solve the mystery of NASA's alleged secret manned Mars mission. But this wasn't just for scientific exploration. In the growing rivalry between America and the Soviet Union, it was also about establishing themselves as superior, the very origin of Project Red. But Mars was much bigger than that. Both superpowers had the chance to reach Mars first and achieve something even bigger than the moon. According to people in senior positions at these institutions, both countries believed that whoever controlled space could also rule the Earth. And Mars was being seen as the next step in this. By the end of the 1960s, this rivalry began to force both countries to cooperate on Mars missions. Both countries, completely hidden from the public, had started working together on Project Red Sun. The target of this program was to land humans on Mars, which seemed almost impossible. Reports indicate that Project Red Sun was designed completely secretly, in which resources were used under a classified budget. All the missions of this entire program were also kept classified. Just think about it. Sending humans to Mars Mars in 1970, considering the technology of that time, it would have been a huge embarrassment. The second reason was that at that time, both countries were going through a delicate phase of power. A successful Mars mission could have changed the entire game. And now it starts to make some sense why such a big thing was hidden from the general public. At least until some better results came out. However, there is no mention of Project Red Sun in the official records of NASA and Roscosmos. But considering the secrecy maintained during the Cold War, it's not a big deal to speculate about it. Is it really possible that behind closed doors, top scientists from both countries were preparing to go to Mars? Project Red Sun is completely shrouded in mystery. But these rumors sparked the imagination of conspiracy theorists, historians, and space enthusiasts. Mission details: if Project Red Sun is indeed a real event, then its success would depend on the crew selected from America and the Soviet Union. However, the name of any specific astronaut was never confirmed. But conspiracy theorists believe that prominent astronauts from NASA's Apollo program and cosmonauts from the Soviet space program were also part of this mission. Some people speculate that Apollo 11 astronaut Michael Collins was also part of this project's team. Along with that, the name of Alexei Leonov from the Soviet Union also comes up, who was one of the first people to go outside into space. For such a large-scale mission, secrecy was the most important thing. According to theories, NASA and Roscosmos used a lot of code names during this time, and this entire project was operated from remote facilities spread all over the world. They not only had to endure the harshness of space, but also had to embark on a journey much longer than to the moon. This training was necessary to deal with isolation and stress. It is said about Project Red Sun that it was based on technology that combined the powerful rocket designs of both Soviet and American Apollo moon missions. It is believed that the Saturn V rocket was used for this mission, the same powerful rocket that was used in the Apollo moon missions. To reach Mars, the spacecraft required upgrades and supply storage arrangements for radiation. Why? Its most interesting claim is that the crew of Project Red Sun had a lander that could land on the surface of Mars. They had equipment and technology that could study the Martian surface and Martian soil. Sources say that this lander was equipped with a rudimentary rover, soil analysis tools, and advanced cameras, which were probably used to take pictures of the surface. Reportedly, the leaked footage shows desolate Martian landscapes, including distant hills and plains. This photo sparked the rumor that these pictures were taken by Project Red Sun's astronauts. But the question is, could the technology of the 1970s send a crew to Mars and then bring them safely back to Earth? Is this the biggest question that could prove this project to be a conspiracy? There are many other questions as well. Maintaining the life support system on a long journey is also very challenging, but the evidence that people found was telling a different story. Evidence, leaks, and the controversy around the project. Red Sun's story might have just remained a useless theory circulating among people, but eventually forgotten. If some leaks hadn't come out in front of the world, these leaks contained some grainy photographs that looked quite old, some video clips, and allegedly some statements from insiders who claimed that they were somehow connected to this mission. All these things sparked a big controversy among conspiracy theorists, skeptics, and space historians. The most talked about evidence is a collection of photographs which are said to have been taken on Mars by the astronauts of Project Red Sun. These photos show a desolate and rocky landscape with the sky appearing light red in color. The distant hills and rocky plains look similar to the present-day Martian landscape, but these photos are still controversial. The people supporting this project say that these images are proof that Project Red Sun was carried out, and humans had set foot on Mars long before any robotic rover had reached Mars. On the other hand, skeptics say that these pictures are actually from a desert or some remote area on Earth that looks like Mars, so that by making it look like Mars, a new conspiracy can be created. Alright, let's assume that these pictures can be faked. But what about that video which went viral in the early 2000s? Maybe even more convincing is this video, which allegedly documents a mission of Project Red Sun. It shows a Saturn V rocket being launched into space, and then the Martian landscape is shown from the spacecraft's window. This video divided viewers into different groups. The believers were saying that the unique markings on the Saturn V rocket prove that this rocket was part of that secret mission, which was completely different from any known Apollo mission. However, critics say that this footage is actually some old footage from the Apollo mission, but it has been altered. Apart from these images and videos, some information received from insiders has added even more fuel to this story. An important personality. One person who is involved in the story of Project Red Sun is John Lear, who is a former CIA pilot. He is known for discussing secret government projects. Lear claims that Project Red Sun was carried out by NASA in collaboration with several other countries. It was one of several secret missions, the purpose of which was to expand humanity beyond Earth. According to Lear, this mission was carried out to establish a human presence on Mars so that steps could be taken in the future towards building space colonies. Lear's claims boosted the confidence of believers, but they also sparked curiosity among them. However, many skeptics consider what he says to be pure fabrication. Making such statements without any solid evidence puts Lear and his claims under suspicion. Some people see Lear as a person who exaggerates or fabricates government secrets. Then the question is, if these leaks are true, why haven't more pieces of evidence come forward? It requires a lot. Large-scale resources, employees, and logistics are needed. Skeptics say that it's impossible to keep things secret on such a large scale. After all, who will keep everything secret? Projects also have some documents and some credible witnesses. Sooner or later, they come out and finally reveal the secret. Apart from this, the technological progress needed to reach Mars in the 1970s was astonishing. However, some people still don't believe that we are capable of going to Mars even in 2024. So it's natural for questions to arise in such a situation. Critics say that it's impossible to keep such a high level of advancement a secret, especially at a time when media pressure and whistleblower culture were at their peak. Some people defend this by saying that there were many other secret projects that remained hidden from the general public for a long time, even for decades. For example, the Manhattan Project, which developed the atomic bomb during World War II, this project involved 130,000 people. Top secret operations were carried out in many states, but still, it remained hidden from everyone until the end of the war. Similarly, the stealth aircraft project of the 1960s was also kept secret for many years, despite the fact that these projects also used large-scale resources. Supporters of Project Red Sun give several such examples and say that governments can actually keep large projects secret. So, the mystery of the Mars mission is not much different either. Some believers say that Project Red Sun was funded by a highly classified budget which must have been part of a major NASA program. With the help of these funds, all the secret missions were carried out, which were being secretly launched in a remote area. This layer of secrecy makes Project Red Sun even more fascinating. And for those who want to believe in it, these leaks become even more important. Even though it's completely secret, something that could prove the existence of Project Red Sun. No official document, no credible witness, or any technological artifact has come before us. Still, for conspiracy enthusiasts, just these pieces of evidence, photos, video footage, and some insider statements make this story interesting. For many people, this mission remains the biggest what if of space exploration. Have humans already reached Mars and all the evidence has been suppressed? For curious people, Project Red Sun is an intriguing possibility, a world where the boundaries of space exploration have already been crossed, just kept hidden from the public. But why was there a need to do this in the first place? The biggest question about Project Red Sun is why NASA and the Soviet Union kept it a secret. Sending astronauts to Mars would have been a historic leap for humanity, so why was there a need to keep it secret? The reasons behind hiding Project Red Sun are just as unusual as the rumors about this mission. The first major reason was the biggest risk associated with this mission: space travel, especially a manned mission, especially to a distant planet like Mars. This was far more dangerous than the Apollo missions. Failure in this mission would have meant a direct loss of life, which the public would probably never accept. If any mission of Project Red Sun turned into a tragedy, it would not only affect NASA's image, but it could also become an obstacle for future missions, and the same thing applied to the Soviet Space Agency as well. Besides, the missions of that time were politically motivated. If any incident happened, it could have caused a change in power. In the context of the Cold War, this would make the country look weak in front of the public. This had a direct impact on politics. Keeping it secret was in the interest of both countries and both governments were benefiting from it, so it must have been considered better to keep it secret. The second big reason was the technological gap. To reach Mars, such technological innovation was needed, which probably shouldn't have been made public. The scale of Red Sun and its requirements were such that both NASA and the Soviet Union wanted to keep the resources used and the technological discoveries secret. If they had developed technologies like advanced life support systems, radiation shielding, or propulsion methods, these would have had to be kept secret because of their space exploration and military applications. Besides this, another reason for keeping it secret could be to protect it from enemy countries and spies. Another speculative theory says that Project Red Sun discovered something on Mars that no one had ever expected. That discovery could have made this mission a sensitive issue. Some conspiracy theorists believe that the astronauts who went to Mars discovered signs of extraterrestrial life on Mars, or unique geological formations made this mission secret because as soon as they became public, many questions would start to arise. But it is said that the Viking mission sent in 1976 was a follow-up mission sent to search for this very life, which actually found life. But later, NASA completely denied this discovery. But if the astronauts had found something like this on Mars, then it was only natural for questions to arise about life beyond Earth. That's why the countries that participated in this mission would have kept it hidden until they reached a conclusion themselves. After all, if there was something like microbial life present on Mars, it would completely change our understanding of the universe. The final reason could be that Project Red Sun could have benefited both countries during the Cold War. Although the US and the Soviet Union were rivals, both countries had a common goal: to prevent their rival from gaining an advantage in space. There was a lot at stake in this project, and secretly cooperating on this mission would give both countries a chance to expand the limits of their space exploration. And that too, without attracting the attention of any country or the public. By keeping this mission secret, both superpowers were thinking about their own political advantage. After all, if Project Red Sun really happened, then keeping this mission secret could have been a good way to hide the discoveries made through it. The reasons for this mission being secret might lie in many factors, and these aspects might be related to national security, scientific dominance, and the unknown challenges that could arise during the Mars mission. In conclusion, the mystery of Project Red Sun could be a real story buried in the hidden history of space exploration. There are still many questions to be asked about this. Whether it's true or fictional, it makes us think and sparks our imagination. This is not science fiction, but rather the reality of Mars exploration. For decades, most of the missions we sent to Mars failed in strange and mysterious ways. It seemed as if there was someone who didn't want us humans to reach Mars. There were technical glitches that defied all logic. These incidents left scientists astonished, including cases where entire spacecraft mysteriously disappeared in space without a trace. Many people were forced to wonder if Mars is cursed. Is Mars cursed? Welcome to the Curse of Mars series, where we will uncover the secrets behind the mysterious incidents that led to the failure of Mars exploration. In this series, we will introduce you to those strange coincidences, unexplained failures, and strange anomalies. Their shadow has been cast over our Mars missions right from the very beginning. But to understand that curse of Mars, we will have to go back to the beginning when humans tried to reach Mars for the very first time. In 1960, the Soviet Union wanted to set a world record for interplanetary travel by sending spacecraft to Mars with the Marsnik missions. Their ambitions were sky high, and with the cutting-edge technology of that time, the Soviet Union was ready to go to Mars. But what happened next completely shocked the scientists. And the rest of the world was forced to wonder if reaching Mars was really beyond our capability. Today we will begin this series with those very Marsnik missions, Marsnik 1 and Marsnik 2. To watch the other parts of this series, you can check out our Curse of Mars playlist, Marsnik 1 and Marsnik 2. Both of these launches began with great hope, but both of them ended catastrophically. These missions failed immediately due to very strange reasons. Were these failures just technical failures, or was there something even more mysterious? The exploration of Mars began with failure, but we didn't know that these failures had only just begun. Were these the moments where the curse of Mars began with the Marsnik missions? The year 1960, when the Cold War between America and the Soviet Union was intensifying. Both these countries had become part of the unseen battle known as the space race to show their power to the world. The Soviet Union was already ahead in this race. They had already launched the world's first artificial satellite, Sputnik 1, into space. Apart from this, by sending the first human, Yuri Gagarin, into orbit, the Soviet Union had already shown its technological advancement to the world. But to stay ahead of America, the Soviet Union now had to do something even bigger. Because the Soviet Union had already learned about America's plans to go to the moon. So they wanted to stay ahead of America in this space race at any cost. And that's why their next target was set. Mars was a mission whose goal was not just to reach the planet Mars. But for the Soviet Union, it was also a way to achieve interplanetary travel before anyone else. The name of this project was Marsnik. Marsnik 1 was the first spacecraft of this project, which was also known as Korabl 4. October 10, 1960 was about to become a historic day, and the moments of this mission's launch were going to testify to the Soviet Union's dominance in space. This spacecraft, with the intention of going to Mars, was the first spacecraft to be launched towards the planet, and there were very high hopes for this Mars mission. These pictures also had to be sent back to Earth, but the reality was completely different from this beautiful dream. Just a few minutes after launch, a major malfunction occurred in the spacecraft. The rocket's upper stage failed to ignite, causing the entire rocket to fall back to Earth. Marsnik 1 from the Soviet Union was a total failure, even though it was built to showcase Earth's greatness. Now, it was nothing more than scattered debris in the ocean. This failure definitely disappointed the Soviets. But their morale was not broken, their spirits were still high. Just 4 days after the incident, on October 14, 1960, they made several adjustments to the second spacecraft of this project. They were completely confident about this mission that this time they would be able to successfully begin their journey to Mars. But this time too, success slipped away again. Marsnik 2 also turned out to be a catastrophic failure. This time, the failure happened even before Marsnik 1 reaching Mars was out of the question. Both of these spacecraft couldn't even cross Earth's atmosphere. Both missions were launched just a few days apart and both failed in almost the same way. Is this just a coincidence? Maybe it could be, but not everyone thought so. The Soviets faced back-to-back failures. Besides just bad luck, there was something even more mysterious about it. So, in the end, where exactly was the mistake in both of these missions? The official explanation that came out about these incidents was very simple: technical failure. During the launch of both spacecraft, there was some malfunction in the rocket which prevented those spacecraft from entering Earth's orbit. The engineers said that there was an issue in the upper stage of the rocket. The guidance system was also faulty and there were miscalculations in fuel consumption. Because of this, both these missions had failed badly, but beneath the surface, there were other questions for which no one had answers. The Soviet Union had already launched several successful missions into space before. So then, the Marsnik missions failed so badly, even though they had already launched humans into space. So, were these failures just mechanical errors this time? Or was something really wrong happening with this Mars mission? For some people, these failures were missteps in exploring space that we could learn a lot from by correcting them. But for some people, two similar missions failing in exactly the same way was not just a coincidence. It was hard for them to accept this. Some people had a theory almost everywhere that there is something out there in space beyond our imagination. Mysterious activities happen more often, like some distortions. The factors weren't stopping us from reaching Mars, but those who believed that mysterious disturbances were being created in those launches in space. At the same time, some people connected these failures to aliens and thought that maybe something beyond our understanding was stopping us from progressing. These theories might sound strange to you, but when something that is not expected to fail does fail, then it's natural for questions to arise. Was there something beyond our understanding, some factors that were stopping us from reaching Mars in these missions? The curse takes root. It's not like there haven't been other missions to Mars, but with every failure, the idea of the Mars curse kept growing stronger. Some thought that maybe there was something beyond our understanding that was stopping us, which is why those who tried to go to Mars failed. America also felt something similar with its Mars missions, just like the Soviet missions. In 1962, NASA also lost this spacecraft just a few minutes after launch. After this failure, the reason given for Mars was a guidance system failure. This incident and the Marsnik disaster further fueled speculations within minutes that Mars is beyond our reach. Mars mission failures kept increasing. In 1964, NASA's Mariner 3 also failed to reach Mars. Due to a mechanical failure, it kept drifting in space. These incidents seemed connected and people began noticing a pattern. A pattern that seemed to point to exactly that. After this, our missions to Mars kept failing in a very mysterious way. The idea of the Mars curse became much more than just some nonsense theory. Now it was no longer limited to just space. It had entered popular culture like news reports, science fiction, and even academic circles. Or were we just underestimating the challenges of interplanetary travel? The Marsnik mission was just the beginning of a troubled cosmic relationship that was going to continue like this. Were these early failures reflecting the increasing challenges in space exploration? Or was it something else? As we move forward in the Mars Curse series, we will explore even stranger and more mysterious stories connected to the planet Mars. Some incidents where spacecraft disappeared without a trace. Some failed in such mysterious ways that we still haven't been able to explain them to this day. In this series, we will ask some tough questions. Is Mars really cursed, or do we just not understand it yet? The dream of Mars in 1962 was left behind in time. But the Soviet Union was not ready to give up. Just a few years later, they pinned their next big hope on it. That this spacecraft would capture and send back humanity's first close-up images of that mysterious red planet, which would have been a giant leap in the history of space exploration. Everything was going perfectly, hopes were sky high, and then suddenly a terrifying silence falls. Halfway through its journey, Mars 1 disappeared. No warning, no distress signal. The scientists on Earth received nothing, just nothing. One moment, the spacecraft was in contact with Earth. There was no sign that anything was wrong. The spacecraft's health was perfectly fine. And then, the very next moment, it disappeared. As if it got lost somewhere in the emptiness of this endless universe. What exactly happened to Mars 1? Was it just a technical failure? A very simple piece of equipment that probably didn't match the modern equipment installed on that spacecraft at the time? Or was there some mysterious force at work behind its disappearance? Some people believed that Mars 1 fell victim to such mysterious forces that perhaps didn't want us to reach Mars. In this episode of the Curse of Mars series, we will delve deep into the mysterious disappearance of Mars 1 in space. We will also analyze the official explanation of technical failure and find out whether this failure was not supernatural but rather the result of human error or one of our own mistakes. And according to some theories, we will also explore the angle that claims there was a deep and mysterious force behind this failure. Mars 1 was launched on November 1, 1962. This mission was another major attempt by the Soviet Union to reach Mars. Especially after the failure of the Marsnik missions, this spacecraft was equipped with many modern scientific instruments, including a camera system to take detailed images of the Martian surface. The goal of Mars 1 was to become the first successful interplanetary mission in history. In the beginning, everything was going very well. The launch was absolutely smooth. The initial telemetry reports showed that all the systems of the spacecraft were working perfectly. All indications were pointing towards this mission turning into a huge success. Valuable scientific data was also being received, but as the spacecraft kept going deeper into space, engineers and scientists started monitoring this spacecraft and the progress of this mission even more closely. Minor adjustments were made to its trajectory to keep it headed toward Mars. Apart from this, the entire mission was heading toward success. But then, on March 21, 1963, something happened that no one had ever imagined. Mars 1's communication suddenly started to weaken. At first, the signals were getting weaker, but then they even started to cut out in between. Mission Control sprang into action completely. They tried to establish a strong connection again, but only a few hours had passed. The struggle to save the spacecraft finally came to an end. Mission Control had completely lost contact with Mars 1. It had gone silent. It was lost somewhere in the vast expanses of this universe. For many people who had been working on this mission for years, it was a huge shock. After the initial failures of Marsnik missions, Mars 1 was like a new hope for all of them. This spacecraft had already covered more than half the distance towards its destination. In such a situation, losing contact with it, and that too without any explanation, was quite surprising. For the Soviets, Mars 1 could have been a turning point, and humanity was about to witness a new milestone. But then, how did success manage to keep eluding the Soviet Union? After all, what was the reason behind the sudden disappearance of Mars 1, especially when it was so close to its target? The official explanation came from the Soviet Space Agency, and if that malfunction was in their official report, then it was a straightforward explanation. According to their analysis, Mars 1's There was one for short-range communication and another for long-range, as the spacecraft was moving farther away from our Earth. To maintain communication further, it had to switch to the long-range system, but scientists believe that these were probably the moments when this switch failed. Because of this, it could no longer transmit through the long-range system, and without the ability to transmit, Mars 1 was, in a way, lost in space. The Soviets also suggested the possibility that a micrometeoroid might have been responsible. A micrometeoroid might have hit the spacecraft, which could have caused the entire system to fail. These explanations were easy to understand. After all, the conditions in space are such that they spare no one. In the year 1960, it was a common thing, and then space missions were considered a gamble, or you could say they would start preparing for the next mission. Mission failures were not always studied in depth. Despite the technical reasoning, questions still remained. Why did the malfunction happen at that exact moment when everything had been running smoothly for the past few months? Why was there no indication from anywhere that something seriously wrong was happening inside the spacecraft? What exactly happened before the final communication loss? And why, despite so many efforts, was there never any trace of Mars 1 found? For many people, this official explanation wasn't able to satisfy their curiosity. They say that this official explanation is not sufficient to completely solve this mystery. Unexplained theories and speculations. Due to the lack of any conclusive evidence to explain the disappearance of Mars 1, many other theories began to emerge. Some of these theories were quite mysterious and speculative. One theory suggests the possibility of cosmic interference. There are many unknown forces in space, such as radiation belts, gravitational anomalies, and magnetic disturbances. Some theorists believe that Mars 1 might have faced such interference while passing through such an area. Because of this, its communication system might have started malfunctioning, and it's also possible that some solar activity coming from our sun, a massive burst of radiation, might have destroyed the entire spacecraft, causing it to lose contact with us. Or maybe it passed through some gravitational field which changed its direction and forced it to wander alone in this unexplored space. Apart from this, there are some other strange theories as well, like the possibility of extraterrestrial interference. Did Mars 1 encounter some force in space that is beyond our understanding? However, this idea is far from reality, but it reflects the imaginations of those people who believe that the red planet Mars, because of its unique and mysterious features, might be under the surveillance of aliens or some super intelligent species. Did Mars once see something that it wasn't supposed to see, and that's why those powers deliberately made it disappear? These theories are completely speculative, but the sudden disappearance of Mars 1 in space forces us to look at the incident from a different perspective. Because there have been many technical failures in space missions before, but there were very few missions like this. That, like Mars 1, suddenly disappeared into space without leaving any evidence. Even today, Mars 1 is one of the biggest unsolved mysteries from the early days of space exploration. Was it just an unfortunate technical failure, or was there something even more mysterious behind it? Did the curse of Mars once again stop us from reaching Mars? The probe's sudden and mysterious disappearance after its final transmission, this is a mystery that remains unsolved to this day. In the grand history of Mars missions, Mars 1 was one of those missions that disappeared in a very strange and mysterious way. Some missions either couldn't reach Mars, and even if they did, they couldn't succeed in their mission. The case of Mars 1 was completely different. Everything was fine for more than half the distance, but later, when silence fell, neither its debris was found nor any explanation for its disappearance. Often, the questions for which we don't have answers trouble us the most. What are your thoughts about this mission? Was the curse of Mars really stopping us from reaching Mars? Be sure to share your opinion with us in the comment section below. If you liked the video, be sure to like it and share it with your friends. For more videos like this, subscribe to the channel and turn on the bell notification. Friends, we'll meet again soon with another new informative video like this. Until then, stay curious, be happy, and goodbye.